Level 1. The idea. You are 20 years old and you cannot sleep, not because of anxiety. Because of a problem you cannot stop thinking about, and a solution forming in your head that won't wait until morning. You open your laptop at 2 a.m. In a dorm room, while your roommate breathes slowly in the dark and you start building something, you are a computer science sophomore at a school where building things in dorm rooms is practically a tradition at this point. You know the mythology. You have studied it the way theology students study scripture. The garages and the dropouts and the billion-dollar outcomes. You tell yourself you're not motivated by that. You are partially motivated by that. The idea is specific and the problem is real, and the solution feels obvious to you in the way that good ideas always feel obvious to the person who had them and never obvious to anyone else until after. You code for 6 hours. You go to class on 4 hours of sleep. You come back and code again. You do this for 3 weeks before you show anyone. Your roommate looks at what you built and says, "It's interesting." That word, interesting, lands like a door closing. You go back and make it better. Level 2, the dropout. You leave school in the spring of your junior year, not impulsively. You made the decision over 4 months and wrote a document laying out the logic because you are the kind of person who makes documents. Your parents take it better than you expected. Your mother asks twice if you're sure. You say yes, twice. The second time sounds more certain than the first. You move into a 2-bedroom apartment with your co-founder, a friend from your algorithms class, who is better at engineering than you and worse at talking to people. The division of labor establishes itself without discussion. You build the product together, you handle everything else alone. Everything else is everything that isn't building the product, which turns out to be most of the job. You have $23,000 in savings. You track every dollar on a spreadsheet that you update daily because watching the number decrease is the most efficient anxiety you've ever found. You give yourselves 8 months. At month 5, something starts working. Level 3, the bootstrap. Users arrive without you inviting them. Not many. Enough. You watch the analytics dashboard the way new parents watch a baby monitor. Every spike in activity sends something through your chest. Every drop sends something colder. You are building a product and simultaneously building the habit of measuring your emotional state against numbers on a screen. That habit will be difficult to break later. You don't know that yet. You get into an accelerator. 3 months. A small check. A desk in a shared office. And access to a network of people who have done this before and are willing to tell you what they did wrong. You absorb everything. You sleep 6 hours. You eat whatever is closest. Your product improves every week because you talk to users every day and build what they tell you they need and ignore what they say they want and learn the difference between those two things faster than any class could have taught. Level 4, the seed round. Investors are interested. You pitch 14 times in 6 weeks. The pitching is performance, and you are not naturally a performer, but you become one because the alternative is running out of money in 90 days. You raise $2.1 million from 3 investors who believe in the market, the product, and you realize during one meeting, mostly in you specifically. That last part is the most disorienting. You built a thing. They are betting on a person. The money changes the pace of everything. You hire 3 people. The act of hiring is nothing like you expected. You are responsible for these people now. Their rent, their health insurance, their professional development, their sense of purpose. You are 22 years old managing humans for the first time, and nobody trained you for it. And there is no time to get trained because the product needs to ship, and the metrics need to move, and the next funding round is 6 months away. You make your first bad hire and spend 4 months managing the consequences. You make your second bad hire and spend 2 months managing those consequences because you learned faster. You get better at hiring by getting it wrong in ways that are expensive and instructive. Level 5, the Series A, $8 million. The term sheet arrives on a Tuesday, and you read it 4 times before forwarding it to your attorney. The lead investor is a name you recognize from the articles you read in your dorm room. He sits across from you in a conference room now and talks about your company like it belongs to both of you. It does, somewhat. That is what a term sheet means. You have sold a piece of the thing you built in exchange for the resources to build more of it. Every round after this will ask for another piece. Your team grows to 18 people. The office has a kitchen now and plants someone maintains, and a ping pong table that signals something about culture that you're not entirely sure you intended. You work 14 hours a day, and the people around you work 14 hours a day, and the ones who don't are the ones who leave within 6 months. The culture is not something you designed. It is something that formed around the shape of your own behavior. That is true of most startup cultures. Almost nobody admits it. Level 6. The scaling. Growth becomes the only metric that matters to anyone with money in your company. Month over month, year over year. The curve must go up and to the right, and any deviation from that direction requires a presentation explaining why the deviation is temporary. You give those presentations. Some of the deviations are temporary. Some are signals you interpret as temporary because the alternative interpretation is too costly to sit with. You are in 40 cities now, then 80. Then the product is in 12 countries and you have 200 employees, and you have not written a line of code in 14 months, and sometimes you miss it the way you'd miss a language you used to speak fluently. Level 7. The unicorn. A valuation of $1 billion arrives not as a number in a bank account, but as a line in a press release that your communications team drafted and your investors approved, and you read 3 times looking for the version of yourself in it. It reads like someone else's story, someone more confident and more certain than the person who coded at 2 a.m. in a dark dorm room. You approve it anyway. Your name is in the business press now. Profiles. A magazine cover your mother frames without asking if that's okay. You are invited to conferences where you sit on panels and give answers that are true and incomplete simultaneously, because the complete truth about building a company is not appropriate for a panel in front of 2,000 people. Level 8. The IPO. The day your company goes public, you stand on a trading floor at an appointed hour and ring a bell, and the people around you cheer. And the number on the screen represents a wealth so abstract it requires new language. Your net worth on paper is something with 9 figures. You own a percentage of a public company. The percentage is smaller than it was on the day you incorporated. Each round of funding reduced it. The math still works. The math works extraordinarily well. You call your co-founder afterward. You both go quiet for a moment on the phone. Neither of you knows what to say. You've been working toward this for 6 years, and now it has happened. And the day after, it feels exactly like the day before. Level 9. The reckoning. The public markets have opinions. Quarterly. Loudly. Every decision you make is now evaluated by people who own a piece of your company and want the piece to be worth more, and are not interested in the nuance of why a particular quarter was difficult. You testify before a congressional committee. You sit in a room where people who don't understand what you built ask questions designed to produce sound bites rather than understanding. You answer carefully. You think about the dorm room constantly during the testimony. Level 10. The ghost. You step down as CEO at 34. Not fired. You choose it. The company needs a different kind of leader for what it has become, and you are honest enough to know you are not that leader, and that honesty costs you something. You remain on the board. Your name stays on the building in the way that founders' names stay on things. You start over. A new problem, a new laptop, a new 2 a.m., with an idea that won't wait until morning. Somewhere in a dorm room right now, a student is coding in the dark while their roommate sleeps. They think the idea is obvious. They cannot understand why nobody built it yet. They have no idea what it costs to find out. They'll figure it out. They always do. The cycle continues. Subscribe to stay with us. Every video is another level. And drop a comment below. Tell us what level you're at right now. We read every single one.